this reality as we know it is over. 2024 it's a huge year of awakening for humanity, massive year of awakening. I have experienced so many students who have literally one day they're doing their thing in life. Next thing, they get these incredible downloads and their life changes forever. And they're so confused. They don't understand why they're disconnecting with the world. Massive awakenings. I've seen everything. And so they come to me and we go through the course and I help them to understand, to wake up. I help them to remember who they are. And this is going to happen globally from this point on all the way until the end of the decade. But these next 12 months, these next 13 months, massive. In 2025, because of all the awakenings, you asked about, well, will we see it? Yes, you'll see it. How do you see it? Well, there'll be some real obvious things. In 2025, towards the end of 2025, maybe 2026, but mostly 2025, I believe, we will be connecting with this galactic thing we call UFOs. Okay.
I've heard that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But UFOs and the galactic beings, they're just spiritual entities that exist in the higher dimensions, like mostly in the 9th dimension, but also a little bit in the 8th dimension too. And they get to, when you see them, they are light beings, okay? But in this school, they get to dress up. Like, I don't know if they have Halloween where you are, but in the United States, there's this Halloween thing. Everybody dresses up in costumes, okay? In this world, they get to dress up in costumes. And they get to be Pleiadians and Arcturians and Mantas and whatever. But they're actually just light beings that created this world in the 9th dimension. So all of this is going to become very obvious to people in the next 12 to 24 months. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to receive it all at one time, but the ones who are already waking up, who have come here to wake up, will start to experience this. You're already seeing it in things like the Mandela effect. I don't know if you've ever had spoken to anybody or on the topic of the Mandela effect.
I haven't, but some of my viewers have actually been asking about it. So I'd love for you to address it a little bit.
Okay, so the way that the Mandela effect, and it started around the year 2010, 11, somewhere around that, which happens to be the first awakening period of humanity, which I talk about in my book. Okay, but I wasn't talking about in terms of.
I started Wisdom from North in 2012.
Oh my God. Well, there you go. Okay. All right. I mean, do you need any more discussion on this? But all right. So here's the beautiful thing about this. It's like one big, huge puzzle. I'm not sure if the right word is mosaic, but it's like the puzzle doesn't come together beautifully as one big picture that you say, oh yeah. It comes together like pieces of different perspectives that come together. And then when you look back at it, it almost looks like abstract art. And you go, whoa, okay, I get this. Now I understand why this is happening, why we're talking about AI here and quantum physics there and UFOs there and Mandela effects there and mystery schools here. And everything has a piece of the puzzle. And when you see it together, it makes complete sense. And all of it talks about this particular time. So Mandela effects. So the Mandela effect started around 2010, 11, somewhere around there. And it was because people at the time were confused. There was a lot of discussion about, did Mandela, the president of South Africa, did he die in jail? And there was a whole big discussion about, yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Well, as it turns out, at least in this reality, in this parallel reality, and we could talk about parallel realities too, if you like, but in this parallel reality, he wound up becoming the president of South Africa, okay? But it raised a really interesting level of awareness. And the reason I do this all the time is because whenever they, meaning the consciousness that I channel, whenever they want me to make a point that's really important, they always go like this. So in my book, you see words that are like quotations, even though it may not be grammatically correct. So they were talking about how at that time, the earth started to split. It was very tiny. It was just like a little crack. Okay. It went like this, but the earth started to split into what eventually it would evolve into as the fifth dimensional Earth and the third dimensional Earth. When that split happened, timelines began to change. In the timeline of the third dimension, certain people saw an event a certain way. In the timeline of the fifth dimension, where people were becoming more aware, they saw it a different way. So, depending on how evolved you are in consciousness, you will see it one way or you'll see it the other way. But eventually, this Mandela effect has become very big, so that all of a sudden, people who are experiencing more of a fifth dimensional consciousness. Now, I'm not saying they're in fifth dimensional consciousness, but the environment, the energy around them is more fifth dimensional. Those people will see something that happened and swear to you that it happened a certain way, while the others are still experiencing it a certain other way. And so, to me, and a Mandela effect, and I've told this to, I haven't really had an opportunity to talk about this much, but Mandela effect is the way in which you start to see that there is actually a splitting of two worlds happening. I'll give you a really good example. It's a really fun example. Did you ever play Monopoly?
Yes.
Okay. So who was the main character in Monopoly? I mean, there was all different things. There was a shoe and all sorts of things. I always used to get the little three-wheel thing. I never got the fun ones. I never got the car. Okay. But who was the main character of Monopoly?
Uh,
If you don't know, I'll help you. Okay.
yeah, someone with a hat. No.
Yes, the
Yeah.
banker,
Yeah.
the
Like,
banker, the one with the
right.
hat, because most people do remember him with the hat and the moniker, I believe it's called. Okay, I grew up remembering him with the hat and the moniker and things like that. Okay, but if you look it up now, you will find no reference, zero, of him ever wearing the moniker. He never had it. But I grew up and I've asked so many people. Not everybody gives me that answer, but the majority of the people do. Vast majority of them do say, "Oh yeah, he had the moniker," and it was. I said, "Nope, never had it." And that's the way that you can start to see. That's
I
a
see.
real physical, tangible way that you are starting to see the split into consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's happened. It started in 2012, 2009. Not the Mandela effect started in 2010, but the splitting of the two Earths began in 2009, and it will finish in 2032. That's why 2032 is when it all ends in terms of us experiencing third dimensional reality.
And then we'll be in fifth dimensional reality.
Those who came here to ascend will be in the fifth dimensional reality. They will not necessarily be experiencing fifth dimensional reality. You still have to go inside and remember who you are and raise your frequencies to bring in that energy. But it's all part of the awakening process. That is what most people, that's what I did in my whole story in the book is about how I did it the hard way. But there's so many different ways. There's so many easier ways to do it now, to get into consciousness, so that you've heard of obviously the law of attraction, right? So the
Yeah.
law of attraction, but there's something before the law of attraction, and that's called the law of resonance. And it's a musical term. Okay. If you have a tuning fork and you hit it, it will vibrate with another tuning fork that has the same frequency. See, a lot of people think that just because you arrive at fifth dimension, you get to experience it automatically. You have to actually find your way back to remembering who you are, raise your consciousness so that you're vibrating here, and fifth dimensional energies here, and then you can start to experience all the mystery and mysticism and magic, because it's very, very magical.
To watch the full video, click the link below, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel.
Resto maliata falia.